All right. Hello and welcome to AdQ&A Live episode 15. I'm Nick Sinitra and I am super excited because today we are joined by my colleague Lucy Acevedo, one of our rockstar growth marketing coordinators.
Hi, Nick. I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. So, Lucy, what is growth marketing? What exactly is that? What do you do here?
Yeah, absolutely. So growth marketing is a set of services. So it includes email, messenger, influencer, and social media management.
Got it. All right. So let's unpack that. What are all those different pieces? Like, what does that mean? Like, what's influencer?
Yeah, so influencer is going to be when you have people who are on Instagram or Facebook or YouTube, Pinterest, even where they are just promoting products. And we try to find people who it doesn't seem so salesy. So really building those relationships with those individuals and those creators and trying to get them to genuinely post about things, but in a paid kind of way.
Got it. So is this like the Kylie Jenner kind of stuff?
A little bit less than Kylie Jenner,
Okay.
but we're not Kylie Jenner level. But we're looking at those micro and nano influencers who pretty much anybody between 1,000 to 100,000 followers on social media, and basing their engagement rates off of how many followers they have.
Got it. So what's kind of the benefit of influencer marketing and like how is the impact measured?
Yeah, absolutely. So influencer marketing is a little difficult to track sometimes if you don't have codes. So we all see on social media the different, use my name, get 20% off, or, go to this link and get this amount off. When you have those, it's really easy to track, okay, the success of Nick the influencer, because I can see as a brand, okay, he performed this well. I'm able to attribute those sales to you using cookies and really using that full funnel right there. But if you don't use codes, which a lot of brands don't want to make it seem not so salesy, then it's a little bit harder. So when we're utilizing influencers who don't have tracking abilities, we're really looking at their engagement rate. We're looking at the brands, how many followers they've gained during a campaign. So, usually it's a monthly basis. Okay, this influencer saw 300 clicks on their end. So how many new followers did we get based off that?
Got it. And like what kind of a business is influencer good for? Like bigger businesses, smaller ones, new ones, old ones?
Absolutely everybody, which is really interesting. There's not many industries where it's not good for, because everybody has an experience with a brand. Think of pretty much anything that you're doing, you're going to talk about what you're doing. So you're automatically an influencer. So it's just pinpointing those people and saying, hey, do you want to either do this for free or in kind, as we call it, or get a little bit of paid, get a kickback for that. So pretty much every brand can utilize influencer, which is really, really awesome.
Got it. And as far as where it falls in the customer journey, it sounds like it's a little bit of brand awareness and it's a little bit of direct response, like further down the funnel. Would you agree, or how do you look at it?
Yeah, it definitely kind of touches everywhere within that funnel. Kind of all of our services do, which is really nice. So all of our growth marketing services work together. So if I have, say we have influencer, but your social media isn't very great, right? So if I'm asking you to promote my brand, but your social media is lackluster or just not good to begin with, they're not going to want to promote you. It's not going to look legit. It's not going to be a good place for their own personal brand to send their followers to.
Got it.
So then you're going to want to up your social media game. But to do that, then you also want to have good emails, because as soon as they go to your social media, then they're clicking on your emails, then to sign up and learn more. Then if your emails aren't strong, then they're going to be like, oh, well, this still isn't very productive. Then we can also use influencers or ambassadors within our emails, saying, oh yeah, we want to feature your story in a non-salesy email, kind of just an educational email, and utilizing those people in that, and Messenger, that's also on social, so Facebook. So really being able to say, okay, now here's this direct link, now go here and have this conversation there.
Got it. Okay, without giving away too much secret sauce, how would you describe the process of recruiting influencers in the first place?
Building relationships is key. So not everybody either thinks they're an influencer, or they think they're an influencer and they want more money, and you're like, girl, you got like a 3% engagement rate and like 4 followers. No. So we don't want people to kind of get full of themselves in that sense. So building those relationships and setting realistic goals. Once you have somebody who's agreed to influence, setting those guidelines for them, because otherwise you're just trusting people to do whatever they want, and that's never a good thing. And if you're paying them, you get some say in what's being posted and what that conversation looks like. So if you have that strong relationship with that influencer to start with, then it's not as shocking when you say, okay, well, actually, do you mind taking a picture in this angle or this one, or tweaking this caption a little bit?
Cool. And I think you touched on this, but in terms of cost effectiveness, right? Like a lot of the micro influencers are cool with in kind, right? They're generally not asking for.
Yeah, or it's very, very minimal. So I would say, sometimes people, just own $50, and then that also gives you the ability to, again, have a little bit more control over what's being posted. Because if you're not paying somebody, then they can kind of do whatever they want.
Right.
So that gives them definitely the brand more authority over what's going on, but it still makes them feel like they're an influencer in that sense. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Anything else you want to mention about influencer before we talk about some of the other stuff like SMM and email and everything?
Definitely, it's important to get that great content, that UGC, because you can use it in all aspects of the funnel. So if we get really great content from an influencer or people who are just talking about the brand, then we can use that in ads. So that goes to our full funnel aspect, which is why growth marketing is so important, because without that additional touch point, you're just hoping that the brand is giving you this content, which they might not necessarily have the ability to do so.
Cool. Yeah, so it's kind of 2-in-1, right? Like, so you're getting the exposure, and then you're also getting a good source of new creatives, right? For your other campaigns. Cool. Awesome. All right. So next up, we have Messenger, SMM, and email. I think, email's pretty straightforward. I think a lot of people kind of get it. So maybe we talk about kind of Messenger and SMM and what that's all about.
Yeah, absolutely. So Messenger is a little bit different. That's our other growth marketer, Cassie. That's her specialty. So I'm sure you'll have her on here sometime to go a little bit more in depth with that. But she's doing some really cool things where having in your chat messengers, and you can have them in ads, and it takes them to a direct link, and then they can have a whole conversation and get all the information they need without having that added staffing resource, which is really great. And she's phenomenal at her job. So that's definitely one aspect of it as well. But then with social media management, a lot of times people don't know what that even means. And you think, oh,
what does it mean?
Yeah, it's people, my husband always jokes that I just play on Instagram all day, which I kind of do. But it's going in and making sure that all the content that's being posted is very targeted, but in a not targeted feel. So a lot of times if it's left to a brand's own hands, or even just an individual, they don't know that line between too salesy and too just casual. So really, but like merging that to make sure there's equal parts to all the goals that the brand's trying to hit. It's not arbitrary what we're doing. We talk to the brand, we figure out what their goals are, and then we set, okay, now we need 3 in this category, 3 in this and this, and make sure the copy matches. It's researching those hashtags. It's making sure we're tagging the right people and really getting that conversation started. It's, from brand new brands to existing brands, it's really just trying to hone in on how to use social media for a business tool and not just to be social.
Got it. And how do we measure the impact of SMM?
Yeah, and that's what's kind of hard about my service is it's kind of hard to measure brand awareness in that sense of social media. So again, it comes down to engagement rates. How many people are mentioning your brand? Are those mentions good? Are they talking about you positively, or are they saying negative things? And are we doing, damage control? Are they using your hashtag? Are they, again, following you? Are you showing up in discovery? Instagram's rolling out new features every day, and it gets a little tricky sometimes because all of a sudden what you were doing is obsolete and you have to completely reinvent your system and figure out, okay, now this isn't working, now let's pivot. Or a lot of it's just trial and error too. Some brands, looking at the engagement rate of a specific post, you can say, wow, this did really well. This one not so much. Let's never do this again, and let's keep producing this kind of content.
Cool. So if I understand correctly, so SMM is, it's posting the organic content, right, on Instagram and Facebook and so forth. A certain component too of it is like comment moderation, right?
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about how we kind of use that as a tool to engage better with, current and potential customers?
Yeah, it definitely, I think a lot of times brands don't realize the importance of having that conversation. And like I said, using it as a business tool, but you still need to be social. You still need to have those conversations. Some of the best brands are out there. They have social media managers who are commenting on everything. It's not enough just to like a post or like a comment anymore. You actually have to respond back and, retag that person and say, hey, we love that you love our brand. Like, let's have a conversation. That's a great way to get influencers too, because they're already talking about you, and you can then send them a DM and say, hey, we saw that you've commented, this many times. Let's bring you on board and get you that influencer position. So they really do work together in that sense. Also making sure that your DMs are empty. People and brands get tons and tons of DMs, but you need to make sure that they're being responded to, because that's going to impact your overall user experience. A lot of times people don't know that, oh, there's emails that I could, help email. Why would I send a help email when I could just send you a DM? Like, that should be functioning in the same way at this point for how many people are using Instagram and Facebook as a help service.
Very cool. Awesome. And then I know too, with some of these comments, I mean, sometimes, we know that there's a peanut gallery out there that, haters gonna hate and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I definitely have seen that we've kind of guided clients on, taking a positive response. I guess somebody has a problem.
Yeah.
What's kind of like the strategy there?
Yeah. Deleting comments is terrible. It makes people feel invalued, and as soon as you delete a comment, they're just going to comment right back and say, you deleted my comment, and then other people are going to jump on that. Of course, if there's bad things being said, like racial slurs or anything, obviously you don't want that on your page. There's always lines that are going to be crossed. But if somebody's telling you that there's something wrong with your brand, there's probably something wrong, even if it is just one person's opinion. Taking that into consideration. And that's where things, tools like the Snapchat stories, where you can now do chat, you can do polls, you can do surveys basically on there. So then that can help eliminate some of those contention points. So if you're seeing a lot of negative comments, instead of deleting them, definitely respond and say, hey, we hear you, we're going to look into this, those kind of conversations. And then, maybe over the next couple of weeks, do some surveys on your Instagram stories to find out what people are actually saying in a truthful way that's not blatantly right on your Instagram captions.
That makes sense, right? I guess it's every comment, positive or negative, is an opportunity to either sort of build or erode trust, right?
Yeah.
So cool. All right. Awesome.
Yeah, and definitely if they're bringing up something and then you're able to pivot and make that switch, they're going to notice that, and they're going to say, oh wow, this brand actually does listen to their consumers, not just their shareholders.
Cool. And then so I know Messenger we kind of touched on. We touched about SMM. Email, I think, is another one. I think a lot of people are familiar with it, but maybe we want to just touch at a high level about what are the types of campaigns that that you shouldn't ever go without.
Yeah.
Right. There's 4 or 5. I think.
Yeah, right? Definitely. Again, this is Cassie's expertise, and she can go into very in-depth
so
emails.
We'll sneak preview.
Yes. So kind of sneak preview, definitely abandoned carts and welcome emails. She builds these beautiful welcome emails that make you feel like you're already a part of a community, which is phenomenal. Really just trying to get your users to buy without feeling like they're being sold to. Kind of being sneaky, but also not at the same time. We understand that you're smart, and making sure that that your audience is smart. That's where it comes down to everything with growth marketing. Is it really is a communications compared to ads, where you're having a conversation with ads, but not in the same way that we are. We're talking directly to the consumer. We know it's going to their inbox. I know that they're going to see this Instagram post. I know this. It's not, when you're scrolling on Facebook or Instagram, you see an ad and it's an ad. But if it's an email, you don't feel like that's an ad, even though it inherently is. So it's definitely just building those conversations and, again, those relationships. Our department is very relationship based, and understanding who the consumer is, and just talking to them and building things that we know they're going to like.
Really interesting. Yeah. So it's more of a conversation, right? I guess with an ad, it's just here's thing. You want to buy a thing?
Yeah. Do you want this? But that's where our services come into play with that bigger full funnel, because if you are just running, here's an ad, people know it's an ad. You can hide ads, you can do that, but it's a lot harder to, you have to take a little bit more effort to unsubscribe from email. You have to take a little bit more effort to unfollow, that kind of thing. So, but if they're seeing it kind of everywhere, all those touch points, that first and last and in between, you can't escape us. And so if we're really just kind of everywhere, if that conversation is happening, if you're looking at an email and then they see at the bottom the Instagram feed, oh, cool. So that's 2 of our services touch points right there. But it also might be 3 because it might be an influencer quote, it might be the social media management and email all in that one email. So there's not many other services where they're able to kind of wrap everything into one package.
Got it. Awesome. I think we hit all the high level points. Are there any other things that we kind of didn't cover that you wanted to cover?
I think just really understanding that these are so important, and I think a lot of times they get glossed over because they're not the big spenders. They're not. It's a lot harder to track emails. It's easy to track the ROI on that, but for my services specifically with SMM and influencer, it's definitely hard to track that return if you're not using tracking codes, and if you're not using. It's also not an immediate return like ad spend. It's okay. Here's what my budget is, and then let's go from there and hope it works. And it's always a constant, okay, this didn't go as well as we wanted. Let's reevaluate. Let's do this. Every day I'm tracking those numbers and really making sure that it's successful.
Got it. So less of a immediate gratification,
Right.
more of a
It's a
long-term
long-term, yeah, because it's your brand awareness. It's really just getting in the minds of people and, making things that they want to share. It's hard to get into the minds of everybody. It's impossible to do. But if I can create a social post or an Instagram story that people want to engage with, if, we can track that and then say, oh, wow, people really like this. It's hard to do that sometimes with an ad. I can't tell you if somebody's seeing an ad, they can't click, yes or no, did I like this kind of thing. But if I do an Instagram story with a poll, I can see if they like this product versus this product immediately.
Yeah.
It takes them half a second to do. So there's some instant and some very long-term gratification there. So
Very cool.
It's definitely very different than the other ones, but every brand, big or small, can benefit from it, which is the best part.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I know about you guys, but I feel like I learned something today.
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Well, anything else?
I don't think so. I
Cool.
think we got over, most of the base level of that, and we could go more in depth with, ambassadors and all that kind of stuff at a different one if you want to do that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, as usual, all of our dozen viewers, hit us up in the comments if you have any questions, if there's any topics you want us to cover. We basically do everything here, everything related to advertising, growth marketing. So if there's particular channels you guys are interested in, if there's particular different platforms or tracking things like that you guys are interested in, definitely hit us up. Don't forget to like and subscribe as usual. Yeah, I said it, sorry. And tune in next time, and thanks for watching.
Bye.